Hello, folks, and welcome to today's episode of the Hospitable Hosts podcast. Today we have Kevin and Natalia chatting with us. Kevin's actually part of our customer support team. Also, he's a host. Kevin and Natalia own a property management business themselves, and they're here today to tell us their story of how they got started, how they got started with Hospitable, and some of the challenges that they faced along the way. If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to like, share, and rate us on your favorite podcast platform. Hey, Kevin and Natalia, thank you so much for joining today.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks. We're excited. Thanks
cool, awesome. Nice. So let's get started with some introductions, I guess, first. So, Kevin, Natalia, take it away.
You want to start? Ladies first.
All right. We are a management company. We go by Vacay Management. We currently host 16 properties in Florida and North Carolina. And we use Hospitable to help us, our company.
Yep. And my name's Kevin
Sweet.
Ramirez. Everything she just said. We have a management company down here. We've been doing it for 5 years in mostly South Florida. We have some in North Carolina as well. So, and we use Hospitable. Now I'm working for Hospitable. So it's been a fun ride with the last few years with Hospitable in general. So
nice. And how did you get into the short-term rental space in the first place? Where did it all begin?
Yeah, so the story is, I'll give you the short version, I guess. We had just gotten married. We're going on 6 years now.
Yeah. Yes.
We're going on 6 years, and we had just gotten married, and we had obviously all these expenses, like moving expenses, and we're gonna buy a car. Are we gonna, how do we need a bed? All this type of stuff, all this furniture, and all this stuff, and. At the time, she had a job. I was working on a real estate business. But we both decided, like, okay, I'm going to need to provide, a more stable income. We were doing flips at the time, and it wasn't as stable. I ended up working pulling out my paralegal degree, which I dusted out because I hadn't used it in years.
Blow off those cobwebs.
Right, blow off the cobwebs, and ended up getting a paralegal job in a local firm in Miami. But if you know anything about me, like I'm just not I more have entrepreneurial qualities than an employee, which is something that Hospitable actually looks for. So that's great. Anyways, I was working there, and I immediately, like from day one, I'm like, I need to find something else, right, to do. So I ended up stumbling into Airbnb. This is 2018-ish. So Airbnb was still like kind of growing, and it's still growing now, but it was becoming very popular. So I went into it, ended up doing a direct mail campaign where I would send letters directly to owners, and they started calling me. And we ended up signing a few deals from that campaign.
And that was pretty surprising. We're like, oh, they're calling.
Yeah.
It's working.
It's working.
Yeah, it's working. The marketing is working. All the money that we spent on it. But ended up signing a few deals off of there. And then we were in a precarious situation where we're like, now we have all these properties. We had 3 at the time, but we had to set them up.
Yeah.
We had to build furniture, all this stuff. And I'm like, what do we do? So ended up, after like a year and a half working as a paralegal, I ended up quitting my job once we signed those deals, and going into short-term rentals.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
And you've enjoyed it so far, I take it. You've obviously been in that space for a good 5-6 years now. So, what do you find most rewarding about it?
So now I take over the business because then I quit my 9 to 5. I said, hey, I want to go home.
Yeah.
So I'm managing it right now. We manage 14 properties at the moment. And now we have people that help me because Kevin said, all right, you take the reins. And I have two different groups, two different teams of cleaners that help me. I have two different handyman that are my primary go-to. I have people helping me with messaging. We split up the properties, so now we have coverage of three of us with the messaging. And yeah, so it's pretty smooth now.
Yeah, and
Nice.
I think to add to that, like to answer your question about like what's rewarding, I think we were talking about this earlier. Like I think the one of the biggest rewarding factors of Airbnb co-hosting, right? Because we're really co-hosts.
Yeah.
Is those relationships with property owners. You know, it's like unexpected relationships that we still have some property owners that are with us till this day, right? For 6 years, and that relationship started as a working relationship, and now it's grown into a friendship. And we even, you know, go out with them sometimes. We go to lunch. We'll go to have some drinks with them sometimes.
Even like our handyman, he invited us to his daughter's 15s, and it's nice. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Nice.
Yeah, the relationships you build, you know, are fantastic.
And you feel appreciated also, so it's nice. They see the hard work we put into it. Mm-hmm.
Nice. And what about the converse of that, though? I'm sure that there's some challenges along the way. What have you found to be, you know, the biggest barriers to success?
Well, I think let me finish the story, right? Because
okay.
so she ends up quitting, right? But before she quit, we ended up I started doing Airbnb pretty much full time. She was still working, and this was before COVID, right? And so we built the business really quick once I quit. We ended up going from those 3 units. We ended up going to like 15 units, and one of the units was a building. It was a 10-unit building, and I actually partnered up with another co-host or property manager down here that we were, you know, we had become really familiar with. We had worked on some other deals. They were helping us. We were helping them. And then COVID hit and everything changed. Everything changed. Dun, dun,
exactly.
Dun. Right. Totally unexpected. Obviously, we weren't prepared for it. We were, at that time, we were doing the strategy called rental arbitrage, where we were renting these properties. So we ended up in a situation where we had almost $25,000 worth of rent, right? Just the building alone was like $14,000. Then we had these other 5 properties that we had rent on, and COVID hits. The entire United States shuts down, and we didn't have a booking for like 4 months. Plus there was like no inquiries, like nothing, and everybody quit. Like we were at, I think we were at like 90% occupancy, and it like in 3 days everything just zero gone. So that situation, plus at that time, and I guess in times of hardship, you know, real colors come out, and our partner ended up not doing the best. I don't want to say like
he vanished.
Yeah, he basically vanished.
Yeah, he did a vanishing act. Unreachable.
You know, there's a lot of other things I want to say, but he vanished. He vanished. Ended up not being the person that we thought he was, and we were getting phone calls from cleaners that hadn't gotten paid, from owners that hadn't gotten paid, from creditors that hadn't gotten paid. Plus, we have all this rent that we have to put down. So, that was probably the most challenging thing that we've ever been through in general. But I think on the other side, like, I think it made us tougher. I think it made us take those decisions like not lightly when we go into like a partnership, or even if we go into a deal.
And it's kind of good that it happens in the beginning of our everything. Well, we had just gotten married. It was in the beginning of starting the business. It was from that lesson alone, we learned so much. And we are so much more careful now, and partnerships, are not that easy. Just so many lessons in one scenario that we're just so thankful for that it happened when it happened. And when we were okay. At the end of the day, we were okay. We managed to get out of it. So, but it was lesson after lesson. I was like, what else?
And since then, like in the middle of COVID, we ended up, basically shutting down the whole operation. Went from 15 units, and then we went down to 1 unit. But this particular unit, the owner, he asked us to manage the property. He said, "Why don't you be my co-host?" Right?
And we were like, us, because of the bad partnership we had. We thought our name was going to linger with this, our name, our reputation. And we were like, you want us?
Yeah.
So that has been amazing.
Yeah. So, and that's how now we're co-hosts with. It's obviously a little bit less risk on our part, as far as, we don't have rent to pay, but we're able to help owners profit from their investment properties, and it's been very rewarding.
Awesome. That sounds good. Yeah, it sounds like you've managed to come out the other side, tougher, more resilient, steep learning curve and some challenges in there, but at least you've got a little bit of a silver lining out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely been a roller coaster ride. It's a fun business.
Yeah.
So tell me, where did Hospitable come into it? At what point did the software side come into it? Why did you choose Hospitable? I assume there was a challenge that you were trying to solve. Tell me a bit more about that.
Yeah, so when we got to once we got that one owner that said, I want you guys to take over, that kind of gave us confidence to say, oh, okay, you know what, we can do this again. So that encouraged us to go ahead. He referred us to a friend. That friend referred us to a friend. So by the time we were at about 4 units, without even trying, word of mouth, we started realizing different challenges. So our properties were on different platforms. We had Airbnb, we had Mr. B&B, we had Verbal, so many different platforms. We were getting messages from everywhere. We were having to input the locks for each and every guest, and we were relying on us humans to do all of this. We were having to schedule cleaners ourselves per reservation, and it sounds easy, but then you forget when somebody cancels a reservation to cancel your cleaner. You forget when you get a last minute booking at 10 p.m. to go ahead and message your cleaner. Yeah. Do you message your cleaner at 10 p.m.? Do you message your cleaner the next morning? What if you forget? So it's a lot. So those things started to slip through the cracks. And when, like I said, when we were at 3 or 4 properties, and we were like, no, there has to be an easier way to do this, because there's bigger companies out there than us. We need the point of doing this is to enjoy this, there has to be a way to facilitate this. So that's when Kevin comes into play, the researcher, the let's fix this process. And he saw me stressed out, and he's like, yeah, there has to be a way. So he did some research.
Yeah. I think to piggyback on what she was saying, we were at a place that was just hectic in our business. We were forgetting things and all this stuff. I remember having, it didn't happen often, but sometimes I was the cleaner, right? Because we forgot to schedule a cleaner, and it's 2 p.m. and the person's coming in at 4. What do we do, right? So, I would have to clean myself, and I think that's what a tool like Hospitable was something that we really needed at that point. But Hospitable wasn't our first option. We ended up, we ended up going through some other tools out there, which we shall not name. But we went through I think 4 tools, right? 4 tools that we tried out,
and I hated them all.
Yeah.
I'm a hard critic. I was like, this is not pretty. This is not, user friendly. I was like,
Yeah. 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 I
Yeah, I
think.
mean that's fair if you're the one using it every day, right? You need it to be kind of
yeah,
like aesthetically pleasing, but also easy to use, right?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing, like with Hospitable, is like the ease of use. I think that's so underrated with Hospitable, especially on the support side. Like I see the new hosts coming in, and they're like, sometimes they'll complain like, oh, like I don't know how to do this, I don't know how that. And yes, of course, there's a learning curve for any software,
Yeah.
but the other softwares that are out there, I was like,
Oh God.
it seemed like a chore to me, right? Like I would spend weeks like procrastinating because I would open up each software. I'm like, what is this? Like, how do I like? It was so hard. It was just so
Yeah.
hard. So,
Yeah.
and meanwhile, I had to be at the properties, doing this, fixing that, making sure that the towels are there, all this stuff. And now I have to come back home and spend another, 3 hours trying to figure out a software. And once we came to Hospitable, that's when like the difference, that was a huge difference, was how quick I was able to get from connecting to sending messages like within hours. Like I was already sending messages with Hospitable, and I'm like, I'm in the trial first day, and I remember telling Nati, like or Natalia, sorry, that I was like, you have to check out this software. Like we need this. We need this in our life,
Yes.
like right now. So yeah, it was a good feeling.
Nice. That's awesome. And now that obviously you've been using it for quite a while, and maybe this is more for you, Natalia, because Kevin's an insider, so it's kind of a cheat question. But maybe it's just the kind of general, guest communication and everything kind of being automated. But is there a standout feature for you with Hospitable that's something that you really love?
Absolutely. So AI messaging. AI messaging is the best thing in the world, and I hear it from the team all the time. They're like, oh my God, I didn't have to Google this. I just clicked the suggest with AI and it answered the question. And we would kind of check it ourselves, like, huh? How do you know? It would ask us, what's the distance from here to there? And having properties in different locations, and not necessarily us being from that neighborhood or anywhere close to that area, it would answer the message correctly. And we're like, oh my God, this thing knows. Transportation, public transportation, train routes, like metro routes.
Yeah.
It answers so many things. And so that's by far my favorite. And the most impressive thing that I noticed with when we got Hospitable is that I don't know, how long have we been using it for? I think like a year and a half, maybe 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of improvements, it's like Hospitable thinks of everything before Airbnb. I feel like Airbnb copies Hospitable, actually. I'm like, I've been having that feature. So it's so cool how innovative and how many changes and features have been implemented since we've been using it.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's my favorite for sure.
I did.
Or call me lazy.
I did not tell her to say any of that.
Yeah. She's not reading a marketing script. It sounds like
She's
it.
not.
It's a perfect answer.
No, you said all good things.
Okay.
Perfect. So I'd love to kind of also kind of do a bit of future gazing as well. So maybe Kevin, more for you. What are you hoping for from the software, or maybe something that you've seen that is coming? What are you kind of most excited about from Hospitable in the near future?
Yeah, I think the AI stuff is. I mean, I think right now we're just like in the AI, the AI trend, I guess, or the AI world, right? That's like the next frontier. Yeah. So I think it's exciting for everybody, just to, all those exciting features that are coming up with just answering, guests and all that stuff even better. I think that's going to be amazing. Um, I think the Knowledge Hub is something that we haven't done. Honestly, we haven't done yet.
No, I need to sit down and do that.
But I think it's something that is it's great to just have those answers even better with information that we can actually input ourselves. Other than that, I think I think I don't know if we can even talk about this.
We go for it. I think you can talk about anything you want, Kevin.
Safe place.
Yeah. I think that Hospitable would, the position that we are in the market with being mostly for hosts that have 1 to 3 properties, it puts us in a unique position. I think it's the majority of the market, and we have a unique position to be able to connect people together to help the industry move forward for those smaller hosts than rather than the bigger property managers taking over, because I think that's important in the industry, because we need that variety. We can't just continue to have the bigger, larger property managers gobble up every single property, and then everything just becomes the same across. I don't think short-term rentals is about that. I think vacation rentals in general is about the property owner and their unique taste and their unique style and their unique twists on doing their rentals, right? So I think thinking about where Hospitable is going, and we've been talking about the marketplace. I think that is super exciting to me, because that is, I want to see, hosts helping each other, hosts helping hosts. And I think it just creates another, like, a sub market within the entire industry. So that's very exciting for me.
Nice. I like it. Cool. And then how about for you two and your business? What's the future look like? Are you looking to expand? Are you looking to add more property, more team members, or are you kind of happy with the current set of clients that you have?
I think we've been talking about that lately, because I also have another project I want to dip into. So I think I told Kevin I want to get about 3 or 5 more, have the team set in place to help me, and then dip into other things I want to do also. So I think we're like at a almost perfect place for us.
Yeah, and I think that the co-hosting business that we wanted, I don't think everybody is to get to 1,000 properties, 10,000 properties and whatnot. Like, it's not for everybody. I think we're in a place that we're just happy where we're at, and we don't want to grow it too much more. I think especially when we're talking about like full service, where we're like on ground and we're the people that are responsible for the cleaning and the handyman and all that stuff. I think that is, we're at a good space, and we want to be able to have teammates there where they can take care of the stuff, that we don't have to be involved. We've also thought about in the future possibly doing more of a virtual co-hosting, where we provide more of just like the online stuff instead of the on ground handyman and cleaners and stuff. So I think we can provide a good service there for the market with our expertise. And then just other projects. I think we have other projects that we would love to do. I have a podcast, so I didn't think I was going to say anything about that.
Plug it, go on. I knew you were going to do the little plug.
So I have a podcast, the B&B Professional, and it's I right now I have it on pause, as we've had so many things going on with our lives. But I definitely it's gone well for me where people, new Airbnb hosts are coming to me
Yeah.
for questions and they want to learn and all that. So me personally, I want to educate them. I want to be able to give back to these people and see. I think that's so fulfilling to see somebody go from zero knowledge to becoming a professional in the industry. Um, so I'm trying to do my part to help people along as well.
Nice. Awesome. And with that, maybe last question would be then, and this is difficult to distill down, but what's the one piece of advice that you want to give to a new host? Like, what's the biggest thing that you'd warn new hosts as they're starting out?
What's the biggest advice?
I think, I'll just start.
Okay.
So you can think
start.
about you. Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is people when they're getting started, they don't realize how much it takes to just set up the property. So I think setting up the property is extremely important. And for a new Airbnb host, like there used to be a time where you can just put up any property up there and just make money, right?
Yeah.
And no matter, you take the pictures on your phone and all this stuff, but the industry is maturing now, so there's a lot of more professional experienced hosts, and I think the best tip that I could give you is go out, learn, right, from things like this, like the Hospitable podcast. There's a bunch of information on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram, everywhere. Like, it's so available. So don't like just push that off. Make sure that you learn what you're doing, and then I think you start with, how do I set up? just setting up the property, right? And that comes down to like inventory, to what the proper locks, right? The camera, the doorbell camera that I'm going to have. Do I need a lockbox, like a backup key? Do I need a maid closet, right? Do I need what type of furniture? How am I going to design the property so that it can actually get booked, right? And then who am I going to hire to do professional photography? Like, those things that's the foundation. And if you get that right, once you list it, then it's going to go that much smoother once you're live and taking guests.
Nice.
And then I think my biggest advice is don't settle. You don't have to accept every owner. I think following your gut is very important. And when you have that initial meeting with an owner and you see that there's like limitations, or on their ends, like they're kind of limiting where the way you want to work, or the things that you need to do, or the things that you need to implement for it to run smooth. If you see that they don't want to give you a backup key, if you see that they don't want you to put a Ring camera, if things that have to be set in place for everything to run safe, smooth, and for it to be profitable, if you feel any limitation, I would say don't even sign with them. Because you will want to fire them so fast. And it's a hard thing to do. And it's just setting yourself up for disaster. So follow your gut. If anything, I would say after the initial meeting, think about it, sleep on it. And if you have a bad feeling, say, you know what, I'm so sorry. I don't think we're a good team for you. We kind of inclined for bigger homes, or I don't know, something professional, something like, I think you will be better in other hands before you put yourself in a sticky situation.
Nice. Love it. Great advice from both of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you very much, both. I don't want to take up any more of your time. I'm sure Kevin's got a support queue to get back to and questions to answer there. And Natalia has some co-hosting to do as well. But thank you very much both for joining.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you
Miles.
for having us. It was fun. Hope
Definitely.
It was helpful.
Thanks, Miles.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Take care.
Cheers.
All right.
Cheers.
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode with Kevin and Natalia. Hopefully you got some interesting ideas and tidbits out of that episode. If you did enjoy today's episode, please don't forget to like, share, and rate us on your favorite podcast platform. Thanks, everyone.